You have to lead with your people. I always talk about leadership as you have to work with your head, you have to work with your hands, you have to work with your heart. We've turned what we call our Day of Caring, which is our big volunteer day. We're not the largest company, and I like to brag about this in North Texas, but we have the biggest Day of Caring in North Texas. It shows when your workforce is engaged, your impact deepens.
Hello. Welcome to Tuckered Out with me, Ami Thakkar. It feels so good to be back on the pod, and it feels really good to share this very special episode with all of you. 100 years. That's how long United Way of Metropolitan Dallas has been at the center of the community here, connecting people, companies, and causes to make North Texas stronger. To celebrate this incredible milestone, we're bringing together 7 Dallas CEOs who've all played a major role in shaping United Way's story and who really believe deeply in what giving back really means. They're the change makers, the collaborators, the ones who really show us that leadership is more than the bottom line. It's about building a better future for everyone. In today's episode, they share personal stories, lessons learned, and why supporting United Way Metropolitan Dallas isn't just good for business. It's really good for the soul of the city. This is a special one, guys. I am talking to CEOs that are sharing their heart moments, how this organization has impacted them, and, we have a few good laughs. Welcome to this very special episode honoring United Way Metropolitan Dallas, where we celebrate 100 years of impact and look ahead to 100 more. Jean Savage, CEO and President of Trinity Industries, Inc. I know you were the 2022-23 annual campaign chair for United Way. And from what I hear, the story is that you said yes pretty quickly to be the campaign chair. Right. You had just become the new CEO of Trinity. Obviously, a strong female CEO is exciting to work with. So my question for you is, what motivated you to be involved with this particular organization?
Well, I've been involved with United Way since I started my career, so right out of college.
Okay.
And I knew they were great organizations. This area is so philanthropic, and United Way does such great work. And then Jennifer's a force of nature, right? So when she asks, she typically gets some things, but all of that came together to say it was the right organization for me to join.
Yeah, she has said that you came in strong and made such an impact. I believe you raised over $50 million the year before the end of COVID.
I raised over 50. It was 2 years Ann Chow had the campaign. So I thank her for doing it during COVID and the year after. We were able to really increase the giving the year that I started. So it was great. And then we have the lineup set to be able to go into the centennial. So Jennifer did a great job just lining everyone up in advance.
Yeah.
Keep things rolling. We could learn from each other. And it's just been great.
Reflecting back, I know it's been a minute, but I would love it if you can share with the audience a favorite personal story from your time as the campaign chair.
I'm going to actually go right before the campaign chair when I joined United Way. I came in February 15th of 2020. And very shortly after that, within 3 weeks, sent everyone home with COVID. And United Way picked up. So there were a lot of people, businesses shutting down, government agencies going down, a lot of people not knowing where they were going to get their food, how they were going to pay their rent. And United Way came out to the businesses. They help us be able to give into the community and help those individuals. So it not only affected people that lived in our neighborhoods, but worked around us. So it was such a great way to see them at work and organizing so quickly to help the community. And their focus is education, income, and health. And so when you look at this, income would have been a part of that, but they were helping with food, they were helping with rent. So they went beyond what they normally focused on to make sure the community got what it needed.
Yeah. I'm actually going to rewind back a little bit because you mentioned you started right after college. So how did that connection happen right at that young of an age?
The company I worked for, Parker Hannafin, was a big United Way giver. And so they encouraged us, one, not only to give, but to go and work with our local United Way organizations. So I got involved with helping them come to our plants, put on the giving campaigns, talk to the employees. Again, it was just a great experience. At that point, that was in Ohio. We had tornadoes in the area I lived in. And so you got to see your community get help again, right?
Yeah.
So it was all around of how we get involved, stay involved with our communities, and then give back. So not only of our time, but of money.
Yeah. I think it's, we all want to give back. I think people struggle on how to do that. We donate money, but I think when you actually see it for yourself, the impact, it just makes such a big difference. And so that's amazing that you've been able to experience that. I've also heard that I believe, started the golf tournament fundraiser.
I did.
Can you tell me more about that?
We copied Celanese, so we got to give all the credit to them. But we started 3 years ago and said we want to give $1 million to United Way. We committed for the centennial. And it's just been a great event for getting us all together and also giving back to the community.
And who's going to say no to golf?
Right.
Even if you can't play, why not?
We go to Southern Dallas. We go to a course there. So
cool.
It went along with what we were trying to help. So I know that PepsiCo started the work down there, but we got inspired by what they were doing. And then when Jennifer told us, like a business, we care about impact. And she said, we can design a program to help you give to the areas that make the most difference for you and your employees. And so it was just a win-win for us.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm going to have to join next time. So as you know, we've been talking about it. The centennial celebration is coming up. I know everyone's excited about the entertainment and being together. And I think uplifting and spotlighting those voices that are behind the scenes, that are doing the work, that are hands in the dirt. As a leader and as someone who has been working with this organization for so long, I have to ask, 100 years. So what do you see as kind of the biggest opportunities for United Way for the next 100 years? Because things are changing.
They are changing.
Yeah.
I mentioned they're working with businesses on the campaigns and they're working with individual donors. I think that continuing to make sure they show that impact, that they are using the funds responsibly, that they're getting the results, and they're actually putting those goals out there in public. A lot of organizations don't do that. And so when you have a goal, when you're driving towards that and you're measuring yourself, I think you get better results and you get the credibility. And I think as they continue doing that, they'll only see continued growth within the DFW or the Dallas metropolitan area. I got to get it right here.
Yes.
I think that makes a big difference. And the fact that they give employees a choice.
Yeah.
So when you can choose where those funds you're giving go, it makes it a much easier job for me to talk to the employees about giving back to their community, thinking about where they can make an impact. And we give them time to go volunteer, telling them that not only should they give of their money, but go help.
Yeah.
And we try to mirror that. My executive leadership team, this year we went to one of the women's schools, or girls' schools, should say, and got to see the great work they're doing. And they are so developed. When you looked at them talking to us, no fear.
Yeah.
They did a great job telling us what they wanted to be when they graduated from high school and where they were going to go to college. It's just amazing to see the impacts, right?
Yeah.
And see the development of the children coming up.
I have 2 daughters, 11 and 8, and, they're volunteering already and getting into the community. And when I hear them talk about giving back and impact, I'm like, I didn't learn that till I was 40. Like, it's amazing what these kids are aware of nowadays and understand what's important. I know Jennifer told me that you have grandkids as well.
Right.
So are you hoping to kind of pass the torch on to them?
I am. So typically on different events when I can, not the golfing, I take them out too, but it's really about how you give back and how you participate in your community.
Yeah.
Because we are so fortunate, one, to live in America, two, to be in this community where it is thriving, and to be able to go help others who maybe aren't as fortunate, I think is something that I want to pass on. And I allow them to help me choose where I give. I've got a personal fund, giving fund, and letting them choose some things that are important to them to give to.
That's great. That's a grandparent's role, right?
Yes.
That's great. Last question. Who are you most excited to see at the celebration? You don't have to say Jana or Blake. You can say whoever you want.
Well, it actually is Blake Shelton. I really like him. I love his music. I saw him in Peoria at a small venue. Gwen Stefani came out too, so it was really amazing. Don't know if that's going to happen here, but I think that'll be terrific. Looking forward to it.
So hopefully we'll see you dancing.
I don't know about dancing, but
Okay.
I'm going to be singing.
Yes, awesome. Curt Farmer, President and CEO of Comerica Incorporated and Comerica Bank. Thank you so much for doing this. Jennifer has told me nothing but great things. I first wanted to say congrats on being a new grandparent, I've heard.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm sure that's a lot of fun. Jennifer was telling me a lot about your time as campaign chair in 2023-24. So I just want to highlight a few things. I know you have helped raise over $55 million, improved access to education, income, and health, the three United Way pillars, really,
Right.
for nearly 1.6 million of our neighbors, which is roughly 20% of our population here. And I was reading some of your highlights as that year went, and I know you had the Social Innovation Lab, the Southern Dallas Thrives Fund, the CEO Advisory Council. And I'm sure you've had time to reflect on that amazing year. So my question for you is, could you share a personal story or highlight from your time as campaign chair for United Way?
First of all, it was such an honor for me to be the campaign chair, and really excited about the amount of money we raised, over $55 million, but also how that money helped launch some new initiatives, especially in Southern Dallas, which is near and dear, I think, to so many of the leaders in the city of Dallas in terms of impact, and especially around education, health, and income. There's a great need there, and I think our company is aligned around that, as well as so many other corporations, and definitely at the heart of what United Way does. For me, one of the highlights of the year was getting other CEOs engaged with the United Way. Many of those companies did not necessarily have campaigns or giving strategies in the past. And I think pulling together this group of 20 to 30 CEOs across the Metroplex provided a forum for them to get more educated about the United Way and to really learn from each other. And it opened a number of doors to some new opportunities we did not have before. And it's a great sounding board for us just to test sort of the work the United Way is doing. And is it resonating with the mission and vision for the community that many of these CEOs and their corporations have?
Yeah, it's a great reason for leaders to get together for other reasons, right? So the Centennial Celebration is coming up. Who are you excited to see, and kind of what is your vision for what people will remember about the celebration?
Well, I think the entertainment will always be great, but I think even more than that, we've given away or are giving away a lot of tickets, over 10,000 tickets to community partners. I always enjoy just interacting with those people in the community that are making a difference sort of day in and day out in the lives of so many families and individuals in Texas and in North Texas. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the tasting event that we have. And again, just for the chance to interact with so many people from the community who I think believe in the vision of United Way. The entertainment is just sort of, icing on the cake, but I think all the things that will lead up to that is sort of reinforcing the story of United Way and seeing the examples of impact the United Way is having. Again, being with many of those community organizations and volunteers that make a difference sort of day in and day out. I think it'll be a great sort of launching board for the campaign that we'll be launching from there that will sort of bring everything together, celebrating the 100 years, but then looking forward to the next 100 years of the United Way.
Exactly. I think it's exciting to highlight and spotlight those that don't usually get it, right? That are behind the scenes, doing the work, hands in the dirt kind of thing. So I'll be excited to clap and stand up for all of them as well. I think we can all agree that being a true leader means giving back. So what advice would you give to new leaders entering the nonprofit sector today? Maybe challenges they may face that you now understand how to tackle?
One of the things that's important when you think about getting involved in the nonprofit sector in your community or any community that you live in, are to find things that you're passionate about. If it's something that you believe in the cause of the organization, you believe that you can make a difference and it's aligned with your values as an individual, then hopefully it's aligned with the values of your company as well. You've got to believe that the organization is well run and that it can make a difference. It's having an impact. And so I always say, find those one or two things where you can throw yourself into it. It's not necessarily the quantity of things you're doing, it's the impact that they're having. And are they, again, aligned with your company's values, your company's core mission, but your personal sort of core mission as well? If those align, you're going to have a lot of fun doing this type of work, and you're going to see the impact that you're having in the community.
That's great. And then last question, what are you most proud of in your role as chairman?
Certainly hitting the financial targets that we had, which far exceeded really what I thought we might be able to do. We brought in a number of large gifts that we had not anticipated beforehand. And again, bringing in a number of new corporations and exposing the CEOs and those management teams to United Way and launching some new campaigns, some new employee campaigns in a number of companies that had not previously been participating in United Way.
Antonio Carrillo, President and CEO of Arcosa. Thank you for joining me. I know the centennial celebration of United Way Metropolitan Dallas really provides a significant moment, 100 years of impact in education, income, health in North Texas. And your role has really helped lead this huge milestone. So talk to me about being board chair throughout this centennial period. And I would love it if you could share any personal stories and highlights from this past year.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking the time. I think, as board chair, my job is relatively easy because we have an incredible team at United Way Metropolitan Dallas. So they are really the ones that really carry the load and make this possible. Every year is important, and every year United Way has established a new milestone and a new record. The impact they have every year is just incredible. So 100 years is just, a very important milestone. There's not many companies that last 100 years. There's not many organizations that last 100 years. We should not forget that. No, we should not forget that 100 years is a long, long, long time for our organization. And when you look at United Way over the 100 years, it's evolved, it's transformed, it's improved. And the United Way we have today is probably the best that there's ever been. So that's something that we need to celebrate. On a personal note, I will tell you that being of some help to United Way or trying to stay involved with United Way, I get a lot more than I give. Every time you go to any of the organizations or any event that United Way supports and you see the impact that they have on what Jennifer calls and their team calls mission moments, and you see the mission moments and you hear the stories of how United Way changes lives on education, income, and health, it's just inspiring. So every meeting I go and every moment that I listen to those mission moments just fills you with energy to continue helping, because you do have an impact in the local community.
Yeah, we all have our busy day to day. You're obviously president and CEO of Arcosa. I think it's healthy for any of us to get out of our bubble and understand what's happening with the rest of the world and to give back to those that don't have as much, It's good for the soul. And as I mentioned, you are president and CEO of, am I pronouncing this right?
Arcosa, yes.
Arcosa Inc. So I'm curious to know, what lessons have you learned about community leadership that differ, or perhaps you've been able to incorporate in corporate leadership?
In that sense, I think one of the things, we are a relatively large company here in Dallas, but we are not enormous. No, we have 7,000 employees. It's a large company, but not enormous. And, as a company, I believe that local companies have to get engaged with the community. I'm from Mexico originally. And one of the things that I've been impressed for I've lived in Dallas on and off for 15 years. The amount of involvement that people have and companies have with the nonprofit organizations that support the local community, it's really inspiring, no? And as a foreigner, sometimes local people don't realize how good this community is. So to me, I've learned the lesson. I've tried to become more and more involved with the local community. And I think people look at the leadership in organizations and in the community for examples. I think if we all preach with our own example and spend the time, we will be able to get more people to follow. And I think that's important. I think as leaders in the community, we have that responsibility to do it. To be honest, as a father, I have twin boys. It's also something that I want to teach my children, that they've had a very privileged life. They have a responsibility to give back to the community and to people who are not as fortunate, no? To me, that's part of the leadership with your family and with your community. And it's something that also is, as you said, good for the soul.
Yeah, good for the soul. I have 2 kids as well. I love that you said that. I have an 11 and 8-year-old. They're learning about giving back and volunteering and what that means. And it's so cool to hear my 8-year-old come back from volunteering at some place like Operation Kindness and say, that felt really good. And I was like, yeah, it felt really good for me too. It helps me get out as well. So seeing them do that, I think, like you said, teaching our kids, the next generation, also helps us.
Absolutely does. And going back to United Way, I think the other thing that they do different, which is important for companies like us we don't have an enormous team trying to figure out how to have an impact. We have our mission as a company. We're supporting local education and income. We want workforce development to develop people's skills for the jobs that my company needs, even though they might never work for my company. But eventually, this community needs skilled workforce. And that's where we're putting our money. And if I wanted to do it as a company, it would be very difficult for me to have an impact.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the resources. And that's where United Way comes in. United Way came to work with our company, took us to the best places that focus on those 2 things we were looking for, and helped us develop the program that had specific impact on these things in the community. And that's fantastic. It's a win-win. As a company, we are meeting our goals, and we're using an efficient way of doing it.
Yeah. I think it's really amazing that United Way shows you your impact, right? Versus just kind of donating money and then not seeing the impact yourself. That's impactful for us. So the 100th anniversary, obviously it's coming up. Would love to know which partnerships or people have inspired you most along this journey, and for that celebration, who are you most excited to see and meet?
Well, to be honest, I have the easy job in United Way is being the chair of the organization. The hard job is being the chair of the fundraising. When you look at Stephen Williams and before that, Curt Farmer, then we have a whole list of leaders in the community that have raised their hand. Jim Burke starts next year. They are leading the way for the fundraising, and the impact of the community comes from the fundraising that these leaders do. So to me, those are the real heroes in the story, no? And again, they're using Jennifer's resources in United Way, but they have done an incredible job setting new records every year, and those records really allow us to continue having a bigger impact. So to me, that's the most exciting piece, and trying to just be of help to them. And then, as you go through the event is an incredible event that the United Way team has put together. I think just going there and being able to celebrate in a dinner and then celebrate with a food festival and then going to the concert with these incredible singers that PepsiCo has helped us get.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very unique event. It's a very unique event. So whenever United Way turns 200, they're going to have a very high bar to celebrate in a bigger way.
I would love to see what they do for the 200th.
Yes.
Our kids, maybe.
Maybe
the grandkids. What does this 100th year represent to you personally? And what would you like all the attendees coming to celebrate on that day? What would you like them to walk away with?
Well, I think the first thing, to me, it's an honor that for whatever reason, Jennifer and the board chose me to be chair at this such an incredible milestone of the organization. So it's just, I feel honored to be in the chair role, and I feel a lot of responsibility to try to help the team as much as possible go through this. Because one thing that I didn't mention is this is fantastic, but the team has done, and this has increased the amount of work they have on their plates in an exponential way. They're working really, really hard, and the team is doing a great job. But they're working very, very hard. So I feel responsibility trying to help them as much as possible. Attendees and for people who are going to the event, it's fantastic to celebrate. But what I think about is for every one of these 100 years, the amount of lives that have been changed and improved. That's a real celebration. The real celebration is just trying to think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of lives that have been changed through the work of so many people in this 100 years, so many people in the organization and the boards and everything, and the impact that the organization is having. And then the second piece is, okay, we're just getting started. So the thousands and thousands and millions of people that we hopefully will have an impact on going forward, that's the celebration. The celebration is really, of course, it's the birthday of the organization, which is great. Yeah. But it represents what's important, no? What's the impact that we're having and the organization is having and will continue to have in this community is something that we really need to celebrate.
Scott Richardson, CEO of Celanese Corporation. An easy question. How did you first get involved with United Way Dallas? And was it through, is it Celanese? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, it's Celanese.
Celanese. Was it through Celanese? Was it personally? Was it a campaign?
Well, yeah, I actually got to know, about United Way when I first got married, actually, over 25 years ago. My wife worked for actually Special Olympics in Fort Worth, and nonprofits stick together. And so that's when I first heard about United Way. And then I worked at American Airlines prior to Celanese. And then I came here about 20 years ago. And obviously, with increasing levels of responsibility here at Celanese, I've been a lot more involved. And so I have certainly been engaged with United Way, actively now for about 20 years.
And how long have you been with Celanese? Has it been 20 years?
It's over 20 years. Okay. So I celebrated my 20th anniversary earlier this year.
Congratulations. 20 years probably went by pretty fast.
It did. I was a lot younger and had a lot more hair back then. I don't know if it's Celanese or my 5 daughters that has aged me, but it's probably a combination of both.
My husband always says he started off with black hair and now it's all white. And he doesn't know whether it's the 20 years being with the company or, like you said, the 2 daughters. So
exactly.
I like to think of a combination of both lovely experiences. So
that's exactly right.
So given the centennial celebration coming up and the next century ambitions that United Way has, how do you see specifically the business community partnership evolving in the coming years?
I think these types of things ebb and flow. I think over time, if you look at what Jennifer and the team at United Way have had to manage, they've managed a period of time where big corporations focus a lot on their own foundations. And they've been able to navigate that, I think, extremely well by adapting and really showing the value that they bring and the impact that they have to the community. And the impact that United Way has oftentimes provides a more qualified workforce for our corporations. And so I think the business community has realized that there is a critical partnership that United Way provides, and it's very complementary to the direct work that our foundations are doing. And also overlay the fact that we have more economic uncertainty around us today than maybe we did in the past. I think that's a huge opportunity for United Way to continue to have an impact. And so I do believe that there's a lot more, powerful things that the team at United Way here in Dallas can and will drive here in the local community.
I'm from Texas. I grew up in Houston, but I left and we just moved back to Dallas a couple of years ago. I got to say, I think one, and you probably agree with me, I haven't seen a non-profit, I don't know if I want to call it industry, but just this city and the way it embraces the nonprofit organizations here and supports them. I haven't seen anything like it anywhere. And I think specifically with United Way, after talking to all you guys who have been really involved, I think it's been really special in the sense that you are able to see the impact yourself versus just donating money, right?
Yeah, and part of it is Jennifer is a powerhouse. She has this unique ability to connect business leaders to the work that United Way is driving. And I'm not saying that other leaders in her shoes don't do that in other cities. They do. But her ability is to really show people that and to make every person that she talks to feel valued, and every corporation that she engages with, no matter the size of their engagement, feel valued. And I think that ability is really one in a million. And it goes a really long way because we then see, when we provide the time and the money, we know that it's being utilized for really good stuff, really every single day. And it's having an impact in the areas that are going to end up yielding benefits and or employees or resources, for our local companies.
Yeah, she has not just that passion, but that energy that is so needed in that role. So I would like to know a personal story from you. If you can kind of think back, what has been maybe your heart moment with UWMD? A story or an experience that really has tugged at your emotions?
It was probably about 10 years ago or so. So Celanese sent my wife and I to Shanghai. We lived in China for 6 years and came back in 2013. And it was shortly thereafter that I was engaged in some work in South Dallas. And it's when the team was really getting the initiatives and partnering with a variety of different organizations in South Dallas. And I got an opportunity to go into an elementary school and a high school in South Dallas for several different events that we did in partnership with United Way. And I had a high school student say to me, if it weren't for the work that you all are doing, I wouldn't have a life. And it wasn't, I wouldn't have a future. I wouldn't have an opportunity to go to college. I wouldn't have a life. And I don't know how purposeful that girl's words were to me, but that did show that the work that the team in United Way had identified a long time ago about the needs in South Dallas. And then it's been a consistent focus there. I mean, a lot of times these initiatives that we have, whether it's by different governmental organizations, it's an initiative that doesn't have staying power. And the focus from United Way on South Dallas has been something that has been consistent and it has been significant now for more than a decade. And I think we're starting to see the benefit of that. When you look at test scores, they're not perfect, but they are improving. When you look at engagement levels in the city, now you look at what we're doing with United Way partner organizations, variety of areas to help provide more support for South Dallas. It is having a definite positive impact. And I think to me, that's the one thing that sticks with me because it is very evident that the choices of programming and focus from United Way, one, are the right ones, but two, they are being successful.
That's a very powerful story. I don't know how old your daughters are. Mine are 11 and 8, and they're starting to do volunteer opportunities. I think them just going there and seeing the impact and talking to kids that they work with, every time they go, they want to do more. And I think that affects children and adults alike. For you personally, you're obviously CEO, you've done a lot of things in your life, but what have you learned personally from this experience? Maybe about yourself.
Well, look, I think that there's always another gear that we have. the lives that we often lead and the amount of hours that we have in the day. And, I oftentimes say I get two things in my life. I get my family and I get Celanese, and I don't have a lot of time for other things. But I think the things that United Way has been able to do, just so there's a little more that we can do. And there's always more. We can go a little deeper. We can focus a little more to make sure that the world around us is as successful as it possibly can be. And these things are self-reinforcing. It ends up having a positive impact on individuals, on companies as well. But if we put the we before the me gets taken care of. And I think that there is another gear. And I think every person that I've encountered who engages with or works for United Way here in Dallas, they give a lot. And they always find the time for that little bit extra. And I think it's a perfect reminder for us as business leaders that we can do more as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's because of the work they do and Jennifer and just learning about this pastor. I'm like, I need to do something. I don't know what I can do. And this is the one thing I could think of doing. Cause I'm like, this is my jam. So at least I can help spread the word a little bit. Well, the celebration is coming up in a couple of weeks. Who are you excited to see and meet and talk to, whether that's fellow board members, people you've worked with?
Well, the show's going to be awesome. First of all, I mean, I think it's going to be really cool. And they've picked two very different, but two very great performers. So first of all, I think that's going to be great. Once I can figure out what concert chic means and what I need to wear, then it'll be great. But no, I think being able to interact with like-minded individuals, and with me still relatively new on the board, I don't know a lot of the board members. I've met a number of them. And so to be able to interact, and for my wife and I to meet people that, are also very focused on the community and doing just a little bit more to help, we're really excited.
Yeah. Giving back and listening to good music. Can't really beat that. Concert chic for me. I'm going to wear an old school Janet Jackson shirt.
That's nice.
Okay, last question. Kind of podcasty question, but I thought it'd be fun. If working with United Way were a chapter in your life story, your book, what would you call the title? What would the title be?
For now, right now, for me, it's kind of the beginning of an impact, because I think when you're in C-suite roles, you can do a lot. The title CEO gives you access to different opportunities. And I think with that access comes responsibility. My responsibility, and I know my wife feels the same in the role that she plays working with me in this role, is to ensure that we are having an impact. And when Jennifer called to offer me the opportunity to be on the board, it was a no-brainer that it was yes, because there's no other organization that's going to be able to help us have that impact quite like the United Way here in Dallas.
Jim Burke, President and CEO of Vistra. How did you first get involved with United Way?
I first got involved with United Way in Houston, but then when I moved to Dallas, obviously United Way Metropolitan Dallas is an organization that I've been involved with for 20 years. Very few organizations have the board of this caliber. And I think that speaks to the caliber of the leadership of United Way. So one thing is the confidence that it's a well-run organization. The second is, if it's been around for 100 years, and that's what we're celebrating, I think two things come from that. One is the need is probably still there. And second, they've demonstrated that they're good stewards and that they have impact, or else donors wouldn't continue to support it and board members wouldn't volunteer to serve. So I think we always are being asked, how should I spend my time? How should I think about apportioning some of our resources, personal and or the company's? I would suggest that there's already been a lot of heavy lifting by many people that came before myself and many others on the board that are continuing to do the work to give that high level of confidence. And I think we're all trying to figure out where can we have the most personal impact. And I think United Way gives the scale, but also the individual opportunity to have that impact. We, for instance, are going to be sponsoring a real focus on this Pathways to Work, which is already a program with United Way, but there's so many needs for people to get job certifications and training to help them participate as a family and as a workforce in this boom that's coming to Dallas-Fort Worth that's been here, but they may not be able to fully participate in it. going forward, we want folks to be able to fully participate, earn a living wage and more. And that's our focus as a company with United Way, working with other corporations who want to see this local workforce rise to the occasion.
It feels like it's just a matter of raising your hand, really, and wanting to say, yes, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, but between education, income, and health, there is something that resonates, right? I mean, those are fundamental building blocks. It's hard to argue.
Yeah, no one can argue. There's no discussion on those.
So I think it comes down to impact. I think we can all agree conceptually we should focus on those. I think it comes down to impact, which I think United Way does a very nice job measuring impact. A lot of nonprofits don't put the effort into measurement. They put the effort into how much activity they have going on. And you're always wondering about impact and do you measure it? I think United Way does have it right that they say we have a donor base that wants to understand impact. And I don't think they're scared of being measured and setting lofty goals. And that's something I think any business leader is expected, to do themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what you expect in your businesses, right? Being measured and the impact.
100%.
And those numbers. So I think that's something that all of you guys can relate to and just connect with and understand more.
100%.
I definitely think United Way has a unique way of showing impact. And I think making everyone feel like, okay, our money and our time is going somewhere right.
And that's not easy to find the transparency always in the nonprofit world. We've all been involved with many nonprofits that have a mission of the heart, and you can be very excited, but it's got to be the head and the heart. You actually have to have the enterprise accept the responsibility of the resources that they're being provided, and again, show that impact. And I think United Way fully accepts that.
Definitely. I tell my kids all the time, head and heart has to be both. What's one thing you wish every Dallas resident knew about United Way Metropolitan Dallas?
Wow. One thing I wish they knew.
Every resident, someone that doesn't even know about it.
That it is focused on making opportunity available for everybody. It is not trying to guarantee some outcome. I think it's very much aligned around helping people see their full potential. And it's not about what some people worry about is creating an outcome that just perpetuates itself. And are we really helping people stand on their own to have the life that they want to have? I think United Way is very much about opportunity, not about just achieving some level of, and I don't know if I'm saying this right. I might want to reframe this, Ami, but I'm viewing it as, and maybe you can help me, I'm viewing it as some people worry about, I don't want to create dependencies. I don't want to create entitlements.
Right.
And that's not United Way. United Way is much more about ensuring people have the resources to see an opportunity, but they still have to do the work. Like they still have
to make their own pathway.
To make their own path. And so,
right.
But some people have a view of United Way as they're simply just moving money from point A to B.
Being a crutch, maybe?
Yeah, and being a crutch. And I'm trying to phrase that properly.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of like you're not putting a Band-Aid on something. I think United Way is trying to go more into the root and fix things from the ground up versus like just trying to cover up a scar kind of thing.
Yeah.
And,
maybe what I can say, maybe this is a way for me to frame it, because United Way does both. In fact, we have an energy aid program, which helps customers fully pay their electric bill if they're about to be disconnected and they had a flat tire, they had to buy a new tire and they don't actually have money for electric bill. That happens all the time, believe it or not, things like that. So maybe what I can say is I wish people would understand that United Way will help in a moment of crisis, but their real mission is about changing the trajectory for an individual or a family by giving them the resources to fully see an opportunity and seize it.
I think that was good. I got that.
Okay. Because they do a food pantry, they do the electric bill, they do in the moment of crisis, but that's not the main mission of United Way.
Right. Okay. No, I like that. That's good. How do you think this time with United Way has changed you?
I don't get to see all of my peers in the Dallas community outside of our industry on a day-to-day basis. And then you get into a board meeting. And sometimes the board meetings are both the United Way board as well as the foundation board together. And you see just how broad the commitment level is and the prioritization that leaders are putting towards our community through United Way. And then you realize we have to be here.
Yeah.
Everyone else is here.
Yeah.
That we need to be here. And I think that is contagious. I think that's why people are continuing to serve extended terms of duty, but also support the campaigns, is that they see the need, but they also see the value in the organization and their own relationships that they form.
Yeah, because you guys probably never get the time to interact with each other or cross over or have time to sit down and chat.
Industries, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So that's really cool to be able to build those relationships in a different way.
Absolutely.
Okay, final question. This celebration is coming up. Who are you excited to see? Who are you excited to meet?
It's interesting that Janet Jackson is more of my era,
I'm kind of with you on this.
Yeah, my wife is absolutely over the moon that it's Janet Jackson. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to meet her, but we'll certainly be able to see her perform. But, we're Blake Shelton fans as well. But I would say the surprise factor for us was probably that Janet would be here. And look, I think the community, the fact that this is a big event, it's not a limited audience, special audience type.
VIP.
It's not, no, and we're sponsoring, Vistra's sponsoring one of the events earlier, which is a Taste of Texas event. So this is going to be a very good celebration, I think, in a number of ways, but most importantly, broadly accessible by the community. And so I just think hats off to United Way for 100 years. And just having a chance to be part of that celebration is a privilege. Now they're looking to us to extend this another 100 years.
It's your turn.
Yeah,
it's your turn.
And so I know in a lot of ways the work's just beginning, but we're excited about it.
We all have faith that's going to be a wonderful next 100 years, I'm sure. And tell your wife, by the way, I'm going to be wearing my old school Janet Jackson shirt. So tell her.
Is that right? Okay.
If she has one, tell her to go for it. Stephen Williams, CEO, PepsiCo North America. So the centennial celebration for United Way of Metropolitan Dallas is coming up. It really does provide a significant moment, 100 years of impact in education, income, health in North Texas. And your role has helped lead this huge milestone. So talk to me about this past year as campaign chair, and would really love any personal stories that you can share, a heart moment for you, if you will.
It's been an amazing year being the campaign chair for United Way Metropolitan Dallas. And PepsiCo has been partnering with United Way for over 50 years and making big time impact over that entire time. A great partner. And we built this partnership because we believe when businesses and communities come together, they can create lasting change. Christy and I, when we moved to Dallas, we really wanted to get involved with United Way. We've always been givers. We met Jennifer and we met the team, and I actually hosted a fundraiser at our home for Tocqueville. And that's when I first met Jennifer. And I was like, I have got to be part of this because the United Way does. I've met a lot of leaders, real impact in the community. And so, I've served on the foundation board. I served on the board. I was the chairman of the board for the last 2 years. And this year I'm campaign chair. And, I thought, okay, my duty's done. And she talked me into being a co-chair for the Second Century campaign. And so, one, it's a wonderful organization, and they're having real measurable impact in North Texas. And so I tell you, one of the best parts of the experience has been able to work with incredible people, hear their stories, see the real impact that the organization and its volunteers that give time and treasure are having an impact. The one example I'd use, and it was probably one of the moments that really touched me. It was a mission moment. There's a young woman who went through United Way education program, and she shared how the opportunity gave her confidence to finish college, and she's now helping others do the same. Stories like hers are really what inspires me and represents really the heart of the United Way mission. And, it's as we celebrate the centennial, it's not just a milestone, but it's really a moment for recommitment to the next 100 years of impact. And I'm not just saying that because I'm co-chair of the next century campaign, but it's about building a stronger and more equitable North Texas for everyone.
So speaking of leaders, so roles of leaders vary in different industries, but there is a lot of overlap as well. So as CEO of PepsiCo North America, I want to know what lessons you may have learned about community leadership that differ, or perhaps you've been able to incorporate from corporate leadership.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'll go there, but first I'll just say as a human, I firmly believe that for those that are given, much is required. And, in my time leading PepsiCo North America and now partnering with United Way Metropolitan Dallas, I've found that, core leadership skills carry, whether it's in business or in work. It's really about strategy, being able to measure your outcomes, and teamwork. And, community leadership has some nuances, right? One, you have to understand local. I mean, citizens are in a place and you have to know. In business, you look at market trends. It's the same thing here. Community work starts with the voices of residents. And we think about our Southern Dallas Thrives initiative, it was built with that, based on not for everybody. It was built for local neighborhoods, because so one is you need to listen and understand. The other is you have to maintain outcome discipline. Jennifer, I remember early on, she talks about how, and a lot of times charities do, and the United Way probably was no different. If you go back years and years, it was really like sprinkling pixie dust, right? Everybody, you get a car, you try to do a lot of good. It really maintain discipline and have data and accountability. United Way focuses on measurable gains in education, measurable gains in income, and health, right? Health and with a business mindset, right? Which is quite unique, at least in the landscape of philanthropic that I've been associated with. It really is about, it is about doing good, but it's about doing it in a disciplined way.
Smart, doing it smart.
The other thing is building coalitions. I mean, nobody, and I say it all the time, there's some systemic issues in these neighborhoods and in places where our neighbors live. You can't tackle these things by yourself, and you're naive if you think you can. It just, and it can't just happen. A big corporation comes in, hey, I'm going to make a difference. To have meaningful impact, it requires personal, company, business, private partnerships, individuals. And you have to have, there's strength in numbers, but there's also strength in, you just can't, in diversity of the members. I mean, what we're concerned about as a company or as an individual may be different from some of the other big companies that are involved. And it takes a village.
Yeah.
Right. It takes a village to have the kind of impact and make it sustainable.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is interesting, it's like you have to lead with your people. I always talk about leadership as you have to work with your head, you have to work with your hands, you have to work with your heart. PepsiCo, we've turned what we call our Day of Caring, which is our big volunteer day. We're not the largest company, and I like to brag about this in North Texas, but we have the biggest Day of Caring in North Texas. And so it shows when your workforce is engaged, your impact deepens. And I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite days. I pulled in, and I don't remember, I pulled in about 7:30, and I remembered it was Day of Caring, but I hadn't been here on a Day of Caring in a while. And there were greyhounds lined up outside. We were busing our team members into the community, and we touched dozens of organizations because we give our teams the ability to do different things. If you want to stay here in the office, and I went down to pack lunch, like they're almost lunchbox, they're like these goodie bags, right, with pajamas and things like that, because you can do that. If you want to do a food bank, you can do that. If you want to go mentor, you can do that. So we offer all these things. So you got to lead with your people. You have to get your people involved, whether it's at work or to have a outsized impact.
The opportunity that you're giving the employees as well, right? And the options. And next time, Steven, just take my kids with you. Like they'll do it.
They could have come. I mean, they probably would have done packing these little gift bags that I was. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, hold on, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
It's like a Lego. You're putting these big things into a little bag. It was great.
Yeah.
And I'll say values matter. They matter in any kind of organization you're in. It's one of the things, I think a lot about is how do you make sure that whether it's business community, credibility hinges on aligned decisions that you make and with principles that you have. My dad and I talk about it all the time. He always, and he'd say it, he may say it 10 times a day. And now I find myself saying it. He always said, your attitude will determine your altitude. And he always taught us to treat everybody like you want to be treated. And it's a principle, it's a value that is instilled deeply within me. And I still today, that gratitude cannot be, right? Because you're grateful, you're going to have a great attitude about it, right? My mom would always say, hope is a decision you make every day. You have to have good values. You have to believe in the goodness of others. If you believe in the goodness of others, if you have the ability to help others, you're going to help them.
Yeah. I'm going to take everything that your parents said and throw it at my kids too. And our kids have started volunteering recently, and they both have said it just feels so good. Yeah. And I always tell them, like, these are days, there's some days where you're going to feel bad or feel like, oh, the world sucks, whatever you want to think. Those are the days that you start helping other people.
That's right.
To help realize,
That's right.
What life is really about.
And here's what I would say most parallels business to what Jennifer does amazing.
Yeah.
In the whole organization.
Yeah.
Is you got to plan your work and work your plan. You got to stay focused. You pivot when needed. I remember some of the stuff we were doing during COVID. We had to pivot everything, both in the business as well as what we were doing at the United Way. It was so disorienting. You can't just be stuck and do one way. And we made some tough decisions during that time. So you have to have a plan. You got to work your plan, but you also got to pivot if you need to.
Yeah.
And and so those are the things I think that are very, very close in to how business and organizations like the United Way have to have.
And those are really life lessons too. All of that, right?
all bundled into one.
All bundled into one.
This idea of 100 years of impact, which is what, the centennial actually is. And the fact that, that they don't just write checks, right? But they build coalitions and they multiply around the mission, which is income, education, and health. It's like, that's what it's about. It's, the partnerships, whether it's, the partnership that PepsiCo, United Way, PepsiCo Foundation started with Southern Dallas Thrives, or it's like what's happening down in Redbird, the things that have been built that, again, are hopefully bigger than just the thing itself over time, and that they last, right? And that they last. And it's not, again, about any individual. And that's what I love about it. Even for me, or any individual company, or really any individual agency. Agency happens to be, a tool by which collaboration comes together, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's too big for a product, maybe.
Yeah, just for the day products. I would like to just give you the opportunity, if you want to share a message with the United Way of Metropolitan Dallas team. Any thoughts that you want to share with them for the celebration?
Yeah, I would. One, just congratulations on such an incredible centennial, but also incredible impact in the community. I don't know if when we started working on Southern Dallas Thrives in 2018, that I could have even imagined the strength of the PepsiCo partnership with the United Way and the impact that we've been able to have. And again, that's not about PepsiCo and the United Way. It's about the people. And it's about the people that are working on these initiatives. Again, whether it's the Redbird Workforce Hub, Training Hub, or any of the other programs that we have, it's the people. It's the people that drive it. And so I can't thank you enough for being great partners. And I think of you as colleagues, great colleagues in this effort. We're having a meaningful impact in the community, and it's because of you.
Rob Kaplan, Vice Chairman, Goldman Sachs. 100 years of impact in education, income, health in North Texas, and your role has helped lead this huge milestone. So talk to me about your time so far with United Way Dallas and any personal stories of impact, maybe your heart moment that you can share with us.
So I first got actively involved with United Way when I was running the Dallas Fed. So that's 10 years ago. And Dallas Fed had a very widespread employee giving program, which I obviously got right in the middle of. And that's when I met Jennifer Sampson, and I got to know more about United Way and what United Way was doing in this community. And also I got to know the United Way head in Houston in addition. And I realized all the great work in at-risk communities that United Way was doing, and it was an education for me. I also realized how much United Way of Dallas does to also help with emerging social enterprises and a much more targeted, value-driven, metrics-driven effort to try to build this community. So honestly, what got me excited was Jennifer Sampson, the leadership, the involvement with leaders of the community, and the work they were doing. I realized this is essential to building Dallas and building this city and metropolitan area.
I think after interviewing all you guys, and understanding more about United Way, I kind of describe United Way as strategic philanthropy. How would you describe United Way?
I would say, listen, the mark of a great social enterprise or a United Way chapter, it looks at the community in which it lives, figures out what the pressing needs are, adapts its programs to those pressing needs, and then makes partners of business leaders and community leaders and people living in the community. And it takes a partnership at its best of all these constituencies in the city, donors, recipients, other stakeholders, city leaders. And I think United Way does that very, very well. What's the label for that? I don't know what the label for it is. I'd call that strategic philanthropy, in that we're not just giving money. We are really digging into the community, understanding the needs, and try to focus on raising money and deploying it in a way that addresses those needs, and then checking afterwards whether it's working.
Right. Not just putting a Band-Aid on something.
My test for leaders is, do you think and act like an owner in a way that adds value to the community? In my opinion, United Way is an ownership organization. Its leaders, its donors, all of us involved think like owners of the community. When you have that mindset, then it's a lot easier to identify problems, raise money, do what needs to be done, because this is our community. That's the way United Way thinks.
It's mine. This is mine, my baby. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that. You are vice chairman of Goldman Sachs. And so I was curious, as a business executive, what skills or perspectives can people like you bring to nonprofit boards that might be underutilized?
In business, and I work nationwide, I work globally for Goldman Sachs, we'd like to think we do lots of things extremely well. But the mark I found of a great business is we think and act like owners, put ourselves in the shoes of our constituencies. We try to add value, but we're always thinking about what we could do better and what we don't do well and what we need to improve on. Bringing that business mindset to philanthropy, I think, is distinctive in that I'm very involved in philanthropic organizations. There are times that in philanthropy, we raise money, we have purpose, and there's lots of anecdotes about how we're adding value. But very often in the board meeting and in the work, we don't really ask tough questions. We don't really push for what we're doing right, what are we doing wrong. I think business people bring a mindset that not everything is green. Sometimes things are red. Sometimes they're yellow. They can't all be green. Let's talk about red, yellow, green. I think when you identify red and yellow, that's when you take action to improve things. I think business people tend to bring that mindset.
Yeah, definitely realistic, right? Bring reality to it all.
And action oriented.
Action. Yeah, measured action for sure. If you had to talk to Dallas residents who had never heard of United Way Metropolitan Dallas, what is one thing you wish they would know about it, about the organization? People that don't even have not heard about it.
So I'd probably say if you don't know about United Way, and I had to learn about it 10 years ago, first thing, go to the website, see what it does, see what constituencies it's helping. You might be surprised to find out that a number of the organizations that you care about in your community are backed in part by United Way. And then realize that there are many things United Way is doing that you may have a passion for, and that if you care about the community, backing United Way will help those things you have a passion for improve. But I think the first order of business is for a lot of people, just learn about what it does and study it. And I think nature will then take its course because there's so many things that are critical to the community that people don't realize. I didn't know United Way was involved in making that possible because it's not called United Way. We tend to work through constituent organizations. That's the way we're designed. We make difference in a lot of ways that are unseen, but very real.
Yeah, well, the 3 pillars, education, income, and health, 3 things people can't really argue with, right? So we're all on the same page on that.
And I think what brings that to life for people, those 3 things are concepts, then go down a level, see what organizations we're backing, where the money is going, and then you go, okay, yeah. Now I get it.
Now it makes sense, yeah. It's kind of a fun question. The celebration's coming up. Who are you excited to see or meet or take part in? Like, what are you excited about?
Well, this is for me. Some people are excited about the singers and the entertainment and the thing that excites me. I think it's fun to see the community from all walks of life and community leaders getting together to celebrate a philanthropic effort that makes the community better. I think that's fun. It creates a great feeling. So that's probably the part I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, we definitely need this kind of event nowadays. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then final thing, any message you would like to share to the United Way leadership team?
The problems of the world over the next 25 years are not going to be solved by somebody else. They're going to be solved by us. Government doesn't have the money that it might have had in previous generations. However, this is our community. This is our city. This is our state. This is our country. And so to the leadership and the people that work at United Way, I just want to say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for helping to guide the rest of us through and help us find a way to act like better owners of this community and make this community better. Your leadership, the work you do, and I would say this to everyone involved in the United Way, whether you're a donor or a volunteer or you work there full time, it's going to take all of us to improve this city. And I want to thank the leadership of United Way and everyone involved for stepping up and acting like owners in a way that makes this community better.
Tuckered Out is hosted by me, Ami Thakkar. This episode is produced by Genie Media with Jeannie Saraswati, Ashley Tuff, Micah Sweetman, Hans Andres, and Laura Radescu. You can follow me at Tuckered Out Podcast on Instagram. And please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast.